Hey everyone, thanks for listening to the Grow Your Life podcast. My name is Jeremiah Krakowski. On this podcast, I talk about ways for coaches, trainers, course creators to increase their sales, clients, and make more money in their businesses. Now today, I want to talk about doing hard things. And here's why. Because I know we all do hard things, but can I tell you this? That when it comes to building our business, there's a different level I think that we got to take it to. Life is hard. If you're living on planet Earth, you know that, right? I don't need to tell you that twice. And we live in a crazy economy right now where things are not necessarily how we would want them to be. And so as business owners, we got to choose to do the hard things. You know, they say that necessity is the mother of invention, being able to come up with new ways to do things. I'll tell you this, is that oftentimes if we are waiting until we feel ready to do something, we will keep waiting forever. And I want to tell you this from the perspective of my journey myself. I have struggled for a long time with doing the things that I know that I need to do in my business because I don't feel ready yet to do them. And I'll say this, for years this has been the case. If I look back at my entire career, even we're going on with 22 years that I've been in my career since 2003. We're almost 22 years. It's 21 years. And like, I have just put off the thing that I know that I need to do until it. Now, listen, I've made a lot of money. I've been very successful financially. I've made a ton of money for our clients. I've had a great career, a great business. And yet I know that I can do more. I know that I got way more potential. I know that I'm not living up to that level. And if you're listening to this right now, I would be willing to bet that you feel the same way. That you see where you could be. That you see where you want to be. And you know that you're not there yet. And that's why you keep listening to podcasts like this. I want to tell you a framework that I believe can help you with this. Number one, we have to take a look at what is beneath the surface as to why we're not doing those things that we need to do. As to why we are choosing to not do what we must do. It's because we are caught up in our head with what we should do. Now let me explain this to you. The should do's that we keep telling ourselves, well, I should be doing this, I should be doing that, they actually keep us stuck, feeling like we're not measuring up. And when you can learn to have self-compassion, kindness towards yourself, you will unlock far more of your potential and your ability to accomplish great things. Let me explain this to you a little bit deeper. For myself, I find that if I constantly focus on what is not working, what's not going how I want, what I wish was different, what I think should be different, and I'm focused on the wrong things when I'm thinking about that. My creativity gets stifled. My ability to think well about what I need to be doing, what I must be doing, gets limited by, well, I should have done this. I should have done that. I should have, but I haven't. I can even look at on a day-to-day basis, feeling guilty for what I'm not doing, what I am doing, and letting this take over me. Doesn't have to be that way. And I'll tell you this, the number one thing that has helped me is getting to the root of where that comes from. For me, it came from perfectionism. It came from the need to do everything perfect. And as coaches and mentors, we make a living pointing out what people need to be doing better. And yet we are a double-edged sword, the most critical of ourselves when we need to be very kind to ourselves. I can look at for the last 6 months knowing what I should be doing, but the reason why every single time that I didn't do that and procrastinated was because of being harsh on what I should be doing, rather than just giving myself the grace to have fun, enjoy the process, go through things. And I'll tell you, I have had cycles in my life. I've had cycles where I'm everything is firing on all cylinders, where I'm doing all the stuff that I need to be doing, where I'm doing everything that I must be doing. My fitness is in order, my business, all of my activities are in order. And by the way, can I tell you this? Your income and your results in your business is usually a lagging indicator of what you're doing for the last 6 months. And so you might be doing all the right things, but you might not see the results of it for 6 months from now. Don't become weary in that. Learn to be consistent. Learn to stay consistent, even if you don't see the returns immediately. Knowing that you're doing the right things. And here's what I look back at. I look back at, in my life, the times when things were going really well for me. What was I doing in those moments? What did my day-to-day look like? What did my day-to-day activities look like? And then I start modeling that in how I am living and operating in my life. I can look back at, in my business, the very best season that I ever had was between August 2022 and January 2023. And my son was born in January 2023. Now, again, I'm not blaming my family, but I'll tell you, I have had to relearn how to do life and business with family. And I can tell you now today that I feel more confident. My marriage is in the best place it's ever been. My family life is amazing. My business is firing on all cylinders. And we're in the best spot possible. And so I know, and I modeled it after what were the habits that I was doing during that time period. I think if we can look back at what our habits were during the best time periods of our life, what were we thinking? What were we focusing on? What was our behavior like? What did our day-to-day activities look like? What were we doing differently then that we're not doing now? And then what have we learned now that we didn't have then? I'll tell you this, 2 years ago, I was terrified of what everybody thought about me. Today, I'm not. Not at all. Like, truly. Feel so at ease with other people's opinions of me. And I talked about this 2 years ago. Like, you can't let other people's opinions of you stop you. Why? Because I was in it. I was deeply in it. And it was hurting me. It was keeping me stuck. Where I needed to go was escaping me because I was constantly worried about what everybody would think about me. Did they think I was a good dad? Did they think I was a good husband? Did they think I was a good business owner? Did they think that I was doing all the right things in my business? Were they judging me for my opinions on artificial intelligence and all this stuff? And all of that was festering in my mind, keeping me from operating at the level of my potential. Letting other people's opinions, needing to measure up perfectly to what everybody else was thinking. And I'll tell you, I tried it. Doesn't work. Never has. Never will. Learn to let go of what everybody else thinks about you and start thinking positively about yourself. And I want to tell you what that looks like. That looks like believing that you're the best in the world at what you do and you're the only one that can do it the way that you do it. And you might say, Jeremiah, that sounds really arrogant. No, it's not. Again, existentially, I know there are people. They are more skilled and better than me at a lot of stuff. But I am the only one version of me that's out there. And I am the best at what I do every single day. Now, again, we can't get caught up in this cycle of people are like, I can't think that because then it's going to make me feel like I don't need to improve. Can I tell you this? If you're actually somebody who takes personal development seriously, you're going to improve no matter what. So you might as well think really, really, really highly of yourself. and then see things start to come together better for you. And I'll tell you this, what I just said right now might be challenging some of what you have been taught or have learned in your life up to this moment in time. You might have even judged other people who think highly of themselves, as I will never be that way. It's one of the biggest things that can create breakthrough in our lives. The level of your income is limited by how much you believe in your greatness. It is. Because you will not operate and act as somebody who can produce the kind of income that you want to make unless you believe that you are that type of person. And so what we have to do is we have to believe, we become, we be, and then we start operating and acting as that person, and then we have the results that we want in our life. You know, a lot of people think that if I can just do all the right things, then I will be that person. And this is such a backwards way of thinking. Because who we are does not come from or is not defined by what we have done or have accomplished. It comes from within every single time. And so this is why in your life, if you find yourself not living up to your potential, it starts with what's going on up here. It starts with believing in yourself. It starts with knowing that you have an unlimited ability to do whatever you want to. You can accomplish whatever you want. Now let's design our life how we want to accomplish it. Let's design our life in the way that we know is going to work. You know, I had a man about 6 months ago argue with me that all of this was BS that I just said. And since then, he's left my life because he disrespected. He just didn't like what I'm sharing. And here's what I would say to him. I'll say this. How's that working out for you? You've been doing the same thing for 19 years with no results. I'll tell you this. The people who call what I'm saying BS, they're not living the life that they want. And every time that I look at when I have not been living the life that I want, I have been in self-critical thinking. Hyper-fixed on perfectionism. Doing all the right things. Saying it all perfectly. Instead of learning to give myself grace, compassion, self-love, believing in myself fully. Even if the evidence in my life doesn't show it, still believing it every single day. And learning to operate as if I have already accomplished everything that I want to. Now, I'll tell you this. I have an incredible track record in my life, and yet I struggle with this. Isn't that crazy? So I can tell you this as somebody who has a track record, that when my beliefs shift, I don't operate as the man that I am. I don't operate as the person that I am meant to be. I am operating only to the level of those beliefs. And I used to have this belief that I only rise to the level of my last greatest mistake. And how you do one thing is how you do everything. And I can tell you this, that thinking defined me and put me into a hole and a mental prison for over a year and a half. Constantly beating myself up over the mistakes that I was making. As a parent, as a husband, in my business. And now I can tell you that I have freedom from that. That I'm not living and operating in a framework of needing to do everything perfect. That I am embracing making mistakes on a regular basis and not letting those things dominate me, not beating myself up, but learning to be calm, collected, excited, controlling my nervous system. and giving myself the grace that I deserve. Loving myself through the struggle. If you can learn to do what I've just talked about here on this podcast, your entire life will shift. Your entire life will change. You won't be operating in the past. You won't be operating in the struggle. And you'll be able to start to rise above whatever mistakes you've ever had. Can I tell you this? You are greater than any mistake you've ever had. And all of your dreams can become a reality. They can be accomplished. But you got to believe it. You got to believe you're capable of it. Right now. With what you got right now. You might be saying, well, Jeremiah, I don't have the skills. I don't have the resources. I don't have the talent. I don't have the connections. I don't have the track record and testimonies. Those things, we only think they matter when we don't have them. And I can tell you as somebody who didn't and does, that if I knew what I know today, 22 years ago, my life would be in a different place. It would. Hindsight's 2020. But what I can do is, instead of being upset about that, create the best future and tomorrow for myself and my family. And you can do the same. You don't have to stay stuck where you are right now, at the level that you're at right now. You can accomplish incredible, exceptional, greater than you've ever imagined things. Now you got to go in and do the work. You got to take what I just talked about and start building your landing pages. Start creating your marketing campaigns. Start marketing your business from the perspective of believing in your greatness and not letting your fears and worries and doubts and insecurities define you. And start living in a new dimension, a new reality. I tell you this, I believe that there are multiple dimensions and realities in our future that are possible for us, and we get to choose which one we want to walk in. We can literally shift the timeline in our life. We can literally learn to shift our entire reality through our thoughts, our beliefs, and what we declare in our lives. You know, there's a couple of great books I've been reading lately. One of them is called The Game of Life and How to Play It by Francis Scovel Shinn. Read that one multiple times, found it really incredible. And one of the things is learning to surrender and live in love and grace and peace. And not being so attached to, well, I need it to go this way for me or else. When we can do that, and then you start to build out the things in your business, and you start to learn to let go of trying to control what people think about you, trying to control how the campaign goes. Maybe you're struggling with your Facebook ads. Maybe you want them to work, but you're feeling jaded by the fact that you didn't get the exact result last time when you ran your ads. It's time to rise above what happened last time. It's time to do the thing that you fear the most. It's time to step out. It's time to walk in faith. It's time to take a risk and see what's possible for you. It's time to say no more to the fear and worry that is stopping us. You can do great things. I believe it. I know it. Do you believe it yourself? Because that's what you need to do. Is I can believe so much for you, but you got to believe it yourself. And you might want to keep re-listening to this podcast episode anytime you feel stuck, anytime you feel down. Write it down. Save the episode number. Come back to it and see what happens. All right, everybody? Listen, I hope this has blessed you. Share this. Pass this on to somebody. and watch what happens in your life and theirs. Grow your life, everybody. We'll talk soon. Have a good one.